Some folks can protect time and space with the splits, or a blue box and a screwdriver that uses sound somehow. But when a bureaucracy does it, they're gonna need a lot more toys. Protecting the orderly flow of time is hefty work, especially when there's a bunch of super scientists with superpowers making a super mess of the timeline, or just the conquering types who get a hold of time machines and do their conquering in different timelines. Keeping all of that in order with the power of bureaucracy takes gadgetry. What doesn't go great with great gadgetry? Let's do our own little E3 through the Time Variance Authority's time tech. If there's a source of power somewhere out in time and space, you can make a pretty good bet that Dr. Doom will try to get his hands on it. The Latverian monarch with his grabby hands come back from a power-grabbing mission with a pair of Null time sequencers, which he describes as putting him between the seconds. There's a lot of cool things you could do with that, but he chose to duel Mr. Fantastic in Null space because Dr. Doom, of course. The fight didn't get far before the TVA showed up and blasted what turned out to be the Doombot Christoph and arrested the Fantastic Four for their troubles. Classic Doom, am I right? If you're gonna go about the business of enforcing time law, you need some time law punishments to go along with it. Some punishments are harsher than others, like when someone tries to mess with the flow of time even after they just totally said they wouldn't. Jennifer Walters was called upon to act as a lawyer for someone on trial in the TVA and promised not to dink with the timeline. But when the chance to warn an earlier version of Hawkeye of his imminent death came up, yeah, she took it. The punishment is the Retroactive cannon, a gun that not only kills you, it makes it so you never existed. It's a wonderful lifestyle. Before that could happen, Clockwise, a time-themed baddie, tried to steal the cannon and got a She-Hulk foot to the face. Ouch. Batman has the Batmobile, Wonder Woman has the Invisible Jet. Sometimes you need a sweet ride to fill out the look, you know? Justice Peace, one of the agents in charge of enforcing the flow of time, feels the same. That's why he has the Hopsikle. Oh yeah, I said it. It's a bit like a saddle on a rocket, similar to the rocket steed that the Black Knight rode for a bit. It comes complete with an array of weapons and, naturally, the ability to move through time. We understand that you have a lot of options for your time travel, and thank you for choosing the Cross-Time Central Express Railroad. No, Doc Brown didn't become a TVA agent after turning a steam engine into a time machine. The Cross-Time Central Express Railroad is just the product of some people in the Null Zone being big fans of trains. So they grabbed some doomed trains from the timeline and used them to travel through time. Toot toot! When the Fantastic Four skipped out on the fallout from Dr. Doom using the Null time sequencer, he traded clothes for a ride on the train. Maybe you don't want to hang out with the train nerds when you have someplace to go. Rude, there's nothing wrong with being passionate about something, especially trains. But if you must, why not go with something old-fashioned, like the time ship? Kang has one. Not only can it move through time, it can move other people through time via its cannons. It operates by moving in a limbo, which has access to all of time and space. It can also shapeshift to disguise itself, but doesn't have that whole relative dimension thing going for it that makes the other shapeshifting time machine bigger on the inside. If you want to send agents to apprehend the universe's most powerful and conniving individuals, standard issue is gonna have to be a weapon that can get the job done. For that purpose, the TVA agents carry a powerful baton. The business end, that glowy part, has more functions that amplify the impact of a blow. It can also disintegrate whoever's giving you trouble or refusing to take a ticket. Just take a ticket. It has non-lethal applications as well, like slowing someone's time down by at least 1/16th speed. The problem with time trains and shape-shifting ships is that they're cumbersome. You have to stop them somewhere, bring it back, someone could steal it. And if it's just you or a few folks and you need to make your entrance somewhere where parking a vehicle isn't an option, then use the time door. Of course, you do run the risk of Loki or two sneaking into one when you don't want them to. The reset charge probably sounded like a great idea when they came up with it. The reset charge is how the TVA enforces the sacred timeline. When someone deviates, they pull that variant out, and then set a charge that then erases the budding new reality before it has a chance to catch hold. Or a Loki who wants to be called Sylvie might just steal a bunch of them and then send them throughout time to create a bunch of Nexus events. But what are the odds of that happening, right? Time Twister sounds like a complicated dance that takes a whole song to explain. For the Loki series TVA, the Time Twisters are a nifty way to make sure that prisoners don't make a break for it in a very Rick and Morty way. Wherever your prisoner gets out of line, you just hit a button and they'll loop back to a moment when they weren't a pain in your neck. That little loop can continue as long as the operator feels like doing it. For a bit of cheekiness, the Time Twisters of the comics were a proto-version of the Timekeepers who destroyed time instead of preserving it. Part of the whole enforcing the sacred timeline thing is convincing the person you're about to eliminate that their elimination is really what's best. Why do they have to feel that way? Bureaucracy. To do that, they review people's lives via a holoprojector. This gives them a hologram that they can pull up from any point in the offending party's past or future. Handy, right? But how does it choose its point of view angles, and where are these things recorded from? You sure ask a lot of questions. Every good organization needs a mascot, the kind of spokesman that gives only the goodest of news in regards to whatever they're a mascot for. For the TVA, that figure is Miss Minutes. Just like everything else in the Marvel show so far, there's probably more to her than meets the eye. At the very least, she's an AI living in the TVA's computer that isn't a fan of Loki. So what happens when you have someone who needs punishing, but they're too important to the timeline that their entire existence, past and present, can be wiped out without consequence? Regular old jail. Except of course, it's not actually a regular old jail. Instead, they're put in time cells that lock the person in an infinite loop of a particular moment. Think of it as a Groundhog Day punishment. When Clockwise stole the retroactive cannon, he was sentenced to a time cell, but they were full. That's why they remanded Two Gun Kid to She-Hulk. All this high-tech time gear lying about, and you're gonna want to protect it. In cooperation with some other agencies and individuals, Worthington Industries, the Archangel bots, were created to guard time vaults full of time gear from people who want to time travel, like Professor Logan, who needed access to go back in time. If you're gonna hitchhike across the galaxy, it's important to know where your towel is. If you're gonna run through time with the intent to destroy the TVA, you're gonna want to make sure that your TemPad is fully charged and in a protective case. The TemPad is a sort of all-in-one for field agents in the Loki series. It opens and closes time doors, it IDs variants, and it monitors the timeline for when a Nexus event approaches unfixable. Sylvie stole one, Loki stole it from Sylvie, and then it got smashed. All the worse, they're on a doomed planet. Good luck, you two! It's the worst part of any time you sign up for something on the internet, the elaborate steps to prove on the website that you're not a robot, seeing as the whole website itself is kind of a robot. The TVA's robot detector is a little more intense. It's like a metal detector, except if it detects you're a robot, it fries you from the inside out. A handy way to make sure you're not secretly a Doombot or a life model decoy. But what if I am a robot and don't know it? Oh god. What they need here is a groovy theme song. You can't be a time travel franchise without a catchy theme song, right? Whether it's a catchy 80s pop tune or a driving instrumental with a memorable melody that would sound cool on a theremin. Who am I kidding? Everything sounds cool on a theremin.